In tears, she signs the divorce at the Christmas party, only to discover his incredible secret. The air was thick with laughter, and the smell of fresh pine wafted through the cozy gathering in Willow Creek. Claire stood at the entrance, clutching her purse like it was an anchor to keep her grounded. Outside, snowflakes danced down, blanketing the world in white. Inside, everything sparkled like the holiday spirit itself, but all she felt was a leaden ache in her heart. Just days away from finalizing her divorce from Tom, her husband of 15 years, she was ready to collapse under the weight of sorrow. As she stepped into the festive chaos, strangers waved with smiles that pierced through her heavy heart. Her hands shook with a cocktail of regret and resolution as she signed the divorce papers, the ink barely dry on the page when she felt her breath hitch in her throat. Sacrificing everything she worked for felt like betrayal against the family she had fought so hard to keep together. The tension rose around her, squeezing her chest in a vice grip. That night, conversations about new jobs, promotions, and holiday plans drummed on like a bitter lullaby in her ears. Each pleasant exchange echoed with memories of family dinners and cherished moments long past. Hollow laughter rang in her thoughts, reminding her of the dreams that had drifted further away. 2 kids, a warm home, and a love that once felt unbreakable. With every toast raised and cheer shared, she felt more isolated, the festive spirit amplifying her own grief. Before she could turn to leave, a commotion erupted across the room. An enthusiastic neighbor stumbled forward, sending a thick box tumbling from under a table. It clattered to the floor, sending its contents spilling across the carpet. Love letters. Claire's heart raced as she recognized Tom's handwriting. Words overflowing with heartfelt emotion, penned with love for their children, and dreams for their future. She froze, stunned as the couples around her gasped collectively. Tom's secret life unveiled, a testament of devotion and sacrifice. Her heart raced, confusion mingling with longing. Suddenly, she saw him across the room, his face taut with shame, but his eyes shimmering with something deeper. "Claire." Tom's voice trembled, breaking through her turmoil. As he moved closer, the laughter faded, replaced by an intense silence that wrapped around them like a thick blanket. They stood, hearts hammering, in front of friends whose faces flickered with empathy, witnessing a love that still lingered beneath the hurt. In that charged moment, emotions erupted like fireworks, a mixture of anger, pain, and the nostalgia of better days. They danced on the precipice of vulnerability, finally understanding each other for the first time. Could they climb back from the abyss of misunderstanding? With shared breath and heavy hearts, they revealed how ambition and societal expectations had blinded them both. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Claire looked into Tom's eyes, she sensed an unspoken question hanging above them. Could forgiveness mend what had been broken? Was it truly too late to embrace once more the magic they'd shared? An undercurrent of hope flickered between them, alive and aching in the air as midnight struck. She stood at an unimaginable crossroads, facing the true essence of family, fragile yet unbreakable. What would she choose? Tom's breath caught in his throat as he searched Claire's eyes for a sign, any sign, of what she was feeling. Time seemed to stretch, every heartbeat loud in the silence. He could feel the judgment of their friends weighing down on them, the air thick with tension. They were no longer just a couple caught in personal turmoil. They were a spectacle, and the warmth of the holiday spirit felt like it was being suffocated. Gathering his courage, he took a hesitant step closer. "I can explain," he said softly, the quiver in his voice betraying the gravity of the moment. "I never wanted you to find out like this. Claire instinctively stepped back, shaking her head. How could you keep this from me, Tom? All those years, all those moments we shared, did they mean nothing to you? Her voice cracked as the rush of pain threatened to overwhelm her once more. Of course they meant something. Everything I wrote in those letters was for you and the kids. The world we built together, Tom urged, desperation mingling with the honest sincerity in his tone. I was trying to protect us. I thought if I could make a little more money, provide a better future, you would see. I thought you would understand. The swirling mix of emotions inside Claire was a hurricane of confusion and longing. She had wanted comfort, security, a familiar face to lean on. But instead, she felt lost in the storm wrecking their home. Protect us? By hiding things? By pretending? It's not just about money, Tom, she snapped, feeling the raw edges of her frustration cutting through the air like shards of glass. It's about trust, love, and being real with each other. Tears brimmed in Tom's eyes. I never wanted to hurt you. I was so caught up in trying to achieve things that I lost sight of what truly mattered, he admitted, anguish etched into his face. Claire's breath hitching again, she recalled their wedding day, how full of hope they had been. Yet now, that fragile bubble had burst, leaving her reeling. She felt a stubborn part of her still yearning to find the boy she fell in love with under that midnight sky. Tom, I don't know if I can go back, she whispered, the vulnerability in her voice slicing through their argument like a knife. As silence settled once more, their friends stood watching, eyes flickering back and forth between the couple, witnessing a raw moment of reckoning, not just between two people in love, but two people desperately trying to find their way back to one another. Maybe we don't have to go back, Tom suggested hesitantly, his words filled with a mix of hope and uncertainty. What if we try to move forward, together? Maybe we can rewrite our story, one letter at a time. The idea hung in the air, an unexpected light glimmering in the thick fog of their misunderstanding. Could they find common ground? Both felt the tension of possibility mingled with pain, a flicker of hope igniting within them, even under the weight of everything they had been through. Claire looked deep into his eyes that still reflected care and shared history, despite the myriad of grievances fought over the years. And what if I can't? The doubt pooled in her chest, the reality of her hurt a bitter taste lingering on her tongue. As she searched for an answer in his expression, she realized how uncertain the path ahead was. The beauty of rekindled love dampened her fear. But could they truly rebuild what had been lost? Before she could voice her thoughts, the lights flickered and the clock chimed in the background, thrumming with urgency. Amidst the cheering voices of partygoers welcoming the new year, Claire's heart raced. Would she summon the courage to give their love a second chance? Or would fear drive her away from everything she had ever known? Tom reached for her hand, a tentative gesture that felt monumental in its significance. But as their fingers brushed, a shadow from behind them caught Claire's eye, triggering a wave of uncertainty. Was this moment of hope truly meant to be? The festive scene sparkled with lights and laughter, but a darker fate loomed over them. A decision that could change everything was weighing heavy on her heart. Would she take the leap? And just then she wondered, who stood watching them from the corner? Someone whose presence was bound to complicate their newfound connection. Claire's gaze darted, catching a glimpse of the figure lurking in the shadows. It was Jessica, her best friend since childhood, looking more unsettled than ever. Claire had confided in her about the stress of the marriage, the loneliness Tom's secrets had created. Had Jessica come to offer support, or to intervene in this painfully raw moment? The uncertainty in Claire's chest twisted painfully. "Claire?" Jessica called softly, stepping closer. The urgency in her voice cut through the celebration around them. "I think you need to know something." Tom's grip on her hand tightened instinctively. Claire felt his warmth, but it was suddenly overshadowed by a swell of dread. Not now, Jess, she half whispered, caught between the chaos of her heart and the tenderness in Tom's hopeful eyes. But Jessica stepped forward, her face lined with concern. No, really. It's important. Claire closed her eyes for a moment, trying to shut out the noise of the party, the laughter and clinking of glasses now feeling like a cacophony. She took a deep breath, a desperate attempt to steady herself. Okay, what is it? She asked, barely masking the anxiety in her voice. Jessica shifted uncomfortably, glancing anxiously between Claire and Tom. I ran into Mr. Renaud today, Tom's old boss. You remember him, right? The one who offered Tom the promotion? Tom's expression darkened, an almost painful flicker of alarm crossing his face. What does he have to do with anything? He mentioned something about a deal, something about your plans. And Claire, they're not what you think. Jessica rushed, her urgency mounting. There's more going on here. Something big that Tom hasn't told you. Claire's heart raced. What are you talking about? She breathed out, the air thick with anticipation. Tom took a step back, releasing her hand slowly, the reality of the situation crashing over him like a wave. Claire, please. This isn't what it seems. Oh, really? Then what is it, Tom? Claire shot back, feeling anger rise within her once more but mixed with a thread of confusion. Because right now, it feels like everything I believed in is about to shatter into pieces. I didn't want you to worry, he replied, frustration blending with sorrow in his voice. I was trying to create something for us, something that would secure our future. I thought it was for the best. Jessica glanced back at Tom, then focused intensely on Claire. He was going to invest in a startup, one that could secure the financial stability he always wanted. But he chose to keep you in the dark. He didn't want to put the weight of expectation on you. Claire felt her heartbeat in her throat. When were you planning to tell me this? She asked, bewildered. I didn't know how, Tom admitted, his voice barely a whisper. I was afraid it might change everything, and not for the better. Claire was torn between the urge to cry and the instinct to scream. A surge of confusion overwhelmed her. Could there be another reason behind Tom's secrecy? Was it truly just a misguided attempt to shield her from disappointment? Before she could gather her racing thoughts, the clock announced midnight, and everyone around them erupted into cheers, cups raised high, with the sound of clinking glasses ringing through the air like the dawn of a new beginning. But as Claire stood there, emotions swirling wildly, she felt the weight of a far more pressing decision. Should she confront Tom about this new revelation? Was there trust left to salvage? And in the tumult of celebration and the raw reality of their relationship, a new question tumbled into her mind. Could she risk everything again for a man whose secrets might not be as destructive as she assumed? Tom's eyes, pleading and filled with uncertainty, met hers once again. And just as she pondered the direction of their future, she noticed how the edge of Jessica's gaze steered toward the door, where a trembling figure hesitated in the doorway. Was this person another complication emerging in the harrowing paths of their lives? As the laughter roared around them, Claire realized that this new year might not only mark a time for reflection, but perhaps a turning point drenched in hidden truths waiting to unfold. The laughter and cheers around Claire felt distant, as though she were encased in glass. Whispers and twirls of confetti faded into the background of her mind, while her thoughts raced like a whirlwind. Jessica's tense expression didn't let up, and Claire's gaze flicked back to the doorway where that trembling figure stood, waiting, as if about to shatter the fragile equilibrium around her. "Who is that?" Claire asked, her curiosity breaking through the cloud of confusion. She didn't recognize the silhouette, but sensed an unsettling energy radiating from it. Jessica followed Claire's gaze, her eyes widening. "I don't know," Jessica replied, a hint of fear creeping into her voice. Tom instinctively moved closer to Claire, the warmth of his presence juxtaposed by the chill that swept through her. "Let's not get distracted by whoever that is," We need to focus on us. Us? Claire echoed incredulously. You mean the us you kept in the dark? Tom's eyes hardened. I didn't think it was relevant. I was doing this for our future, Claire. Can't you trust me on this? Trust? You've taken the foundation of trust and built a cage around it, she snapped back, feeling the heat of anger welling up. Claire flushed, her heart racing again. Not with love, but frustration and betrayal. The clamor around them continued, but Claire felt more isolated than ever. She could see the door now. The figure stepping into the light revealed a woman with delicate features, eyes wide with concern. Claire felt her stomach twist. Claire? The woman's voice came like a whisper, yet it reached across the room, a tether of reality piercing her emotional storm. Can we talk? Tom shifted, confused. Do you know her? He asked, concern etched on his face. Ignoring Tom, Claire took a step forward. What is this about? The woman hesitated, glancing around as if searching for the right words, while holding the weight of something unspoken. We need to discuss Tom. I don't think he's been honest with you. Fury combined with anxiety bubbled within Claire. Another secret? What is it this time? She spat, the words tasting bitter on her tongue. Just let her speak, Tom urged more softly now, though his posture remained defensive. I'm Delia, the woman said, her voice trembling. I worked with Tom on his investment plans. He's involved in more than you realize. There are risks, serious ones. I thought you should know. Every word struck Claire like a blade. Risks? This is about more than just a startup, isn't it? Delia took a deep breath, her eyes meeting Claire's with an intensity that momentarily softened the storm inside Claire. He's in deeper than he's led you to believe. There are people involved. People who don't take loss lightly. Is that what this was about? Not just the investment, but something dangerous? Claire felt her breath hitch. The puzzle pieces of her life were shifting chaotically in her mind as the reality of the situation settled in, heavy and suffocating. Our whole future is based on a lie, isn't it, Tom? Claire turned her piercing gaze toward him, a mix of accusation and desperation. There were no words left. Just the raw vulnerability of the moment hung in the air, thick with tension. Tom's eyes darkened, but before he could respond, Delia interrupted, urgency lacing her voice. Claire, listen to me. You need to decide if you want to be part of this or step away before it's too late. I didn't mean to intrude, but I couldn't stand by anymore. The brightness of the new year felt deceptive, a masquerade hiding what's beneath. Claire's heart raced, caught in a pull between safety and the love she once had, now uncertain. As the echoes of celebration faded into an eerie silence, Claire found herself standing at the edge of a precipice, staring into the unknown. Trust and love were dangling by a thread, and with each moment that passed, she knew she had to make a choice. Should she gamble her heart on Tom's tangled web of lies, or would she choose the uncertain path of freedom and self-preservation? A decision loomed large before her, heavy with consequence. Would that decision alter everything she thought she knew about love and trust? As the clock chimed again, this time echoing her heart, the air thick with fresh uncertainty, Claire felt that whatever she chose, it would mark a turning point in her life. And this was just the beginning of revelations still to come. What would happen when she faced her hidden truths? Claire felt a rippling panic coiling inside her. The laughter and cheers around her felt further away, as if the bright celebration had turned into slow motion. Delia's words echoed in her mind. There are people involved, people who don't take loss lightly. It was as if something dark loomed above her head, threatening to crash down at any moment. Tom's expression clouded the moment. Claire, please, he pleaded, his voice shaking. But the vulnerability in his tone felt rehearsed. She was wary, almost repelled by the rehearsed lines she had heard before. "Give me a reason to believe you," Claire shot back, her voice barely above a whisper. She could feel Jessica's eyes on her, full of concern. "What else are you hiding?" Delia hesitated, glancing once more towards Tom. "I wish I could say more, but I'm afraid—" She swallowed hard, the words catching in her throat. "I'm afraid of what might happen if I do." The music around them faded, and Claire's heart quickened. The room had transformed from a festive celebration into a theater of harsh realities. Everything felt so fragile. "Tom," Claire pressed, turning towards him, the weight of the moment causing the air between them to crackle. "What are you mixed up in?" Tom shifted uneasily, the confidence he'd worn like armor crumbling under her gaze. "It's not what it seems, Claire. I wanted to make you happy. By getting involved with dangerous people. By lying to me." "No." His voice raised, jangling nerves. "I thought I could control it, that I could make it work for us. I didn't want you to worry." Claire felt a swell of emotions, fear, anger, betrayal. Which felt more potent? She tried to absorb it, but there was no time. She had to decide what to do with this truth that felt like shards of glass. "Sometimes, I think you believe your own excuses, Tom," she finally said, her voice steadier than her heart. "You put me in a position where I have to choose between you and my safety." As the clock chimed ominously, Delia stepped forward, urgency glowing in her eyes. "Claire, if you choose to walk away, you must do it now, before it ends badly." Badly. The words sent an ice-cold shiver down Claire's spine. Her hands began to tremble, and she instinctively clutched them together. "What if I want to know?" Claire whispered quietly, the thought tumbling out of her mouth before she could stop it. "Claire, think of our future!" Tom cried, desperation creeping into his voice, but she felt something shift in her. The inner turmoil stopped her from commingling love with fear. "What future?" she asked, her voice finally cracking. "A lie? An uncertainty? I won't live like this." The distance between them felt insurmountable. It was as if all they had built was crumbling, layer by layer, into nothingness. "Claire, please don't say that." But she had made her choice. She needed to reclaim her life. With unsteady resolve, she turned to Delia. "What do I need to do?" Delia responded, a small flicker of hope igniting in her eyes. "I'll help you understand everything, but you must trust me." Claire nodded, feeling the thrill of a decision she had never imagined making. Trust was her weapon now. Just as she took a breath, readying herself for what might come next, the sound of a ringing phone cut through the air. Everyone turned. It was Tom's phone, yet he didn't reach for it. Delia looked at Claire closely, then back at Tom, confusion etched on her face. "Aren't you going to answer that?" Tom's gaze darted around the room, then back to Claire, tense and apprehensive. "Maybe it's better if I don't." Claire's heart began to race again, each beat an echo of impending dread. What was on the other end of that call? A new revelation? A threat? "Tom?" Claire's voice broke, laced with fear. "What the hell is going on?" In that moment, as adrenaline surged through her and uncertainty clouded her mind, she realized a truth. The next few moments could change everything. She was one decision away from a leap into a reality she never wanted to face. Would she find her freedom? Or would this lead to a deeper entanglement than ever before? The phone's ringing persisted, demanding an answer before things spiraled completely out of control. What would happen when they picked it up? Claire could feel the air grow heavier, as unfathomable risks hung in the balance. The ringing bounced off the walls, a harsh reminder that time was running out. It tugged at Claire's nerves, the sound resonating like a distant alarm bell. She glanced at Tom, searching for clarity in his wide eyes. but all she found was confusion and fear. His grip on reality seemed shaky, as if he was standing on the edge of a cliff with no way back. "Tom, answer it," Claire urged, her voice a mixture of fear and frustration. He hesitated, a visceral dread washing over him. "I can't. Just trust me. It's for the best. For you, maybe. What about me?" Her heart hammered, not just from the tension but from the realization that his choices had veered into a territory that endangered them both. Had he really thought he could keep her safe while playing with fire? Delia shifted on her feet, her urgency growing. "We don't have time for this. If you know something, you need to say it now." Claire's pulse quickened, and in that moment, a new fear crept in. The possibility of what he might be hiding, and what it could mean for her, for both of them. "Pick it up!" Claire shouted, unable to contain her frustration. She felt raw, exposed, and desperate. His breathing was shallow, like a man fumbling through dark hallways looking for an exit. "I swear, I'm trying to protect you." "Protect me? You've already put me in danger." Tom clenched his fists, and the distress in his eyes flared with anger. "You think this is easy for me? I didn't intend for this to spiral. I'm trying to fix it. Just—" He trailed off, his gaze darting from her to the phone. The ringing continued, a mocking presence now. Delia stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Tom, listen to her. If there's something serious on that line—" But he cut her off, determination lighting up his expression. I can't let it affect our lives more than it already has." His resolve fell like a heavy stone between them, and Claire's breath hitched. She was caught between her love for him and the instinct to flee from the chaos swirling around. What was he afraid of losing? What would happen if he did answer? In an abrupt move, Tom reached for the phone. The room quieted, and Claire's heart pounded in her ears. It felt like the world around them was holding its breath. He picked it up hesitantly and answered. The silence stretched, a thick, suffocating fog. "Hello?" he said, his voice barely a whisper. There was a pause before a voice flared through the receiver, muffled and urgent. Claire couldn't decipher the words, but when she saw Tom's face fall, something cold settled in her stomach. It was as if he had received news that shattered his very foundation. "What's happening?" Claire's voice trembled, feeding on the tension that charged the air. "What are they saying?" Tom's lips parted, but no sound came. He slammed the phone down, his fingers white with pressure. "I have to go. They know I'm here." "Who knows? What's going on?" Claire felt a wave of panic crash over her. "Tom, please!" Delia placed a hand on Claire's shoulder. "We need to get out of here," she said, her voice tight, urgency coating her words like a protective shield. She caught Tom's eye, and for a fleeting moment, their eyes locked, a silent plea shared only between them. They both knew this was deeper than just his involvement. It reached into shadows she had never wanted to explore, but now they were clawing their way into her reality. "Where will you go?" Claire asked, desperation lacing her tone. "You can't just leave me here. I need to protect you. I will explain everything later," Tom said, his voice steadier despite the chaos around them. "Promise me, Claire. Trust in me one last time." As he turned to leave, Claire felt ripped between the choices laid before her. Trust Tom that he would come back, or chase after him into the unknown. Just as she made up her mind to follow him, the shrill sound of sirens invaded the night, growing louder, more urgent. The fear lodged in Claire's chest was now a living, breathing thing. Would she find safety, or was this their last moment together? No matter what happened next, Claire had crossed a line into a darkness she never knew existed. And as the sirens wailed, a single thought rang clear. She was about to step into a confrontation that would change everything. How far would she go to uncover the truth? Claire's heart raced, her mind a whirlwind of thoughts as the sirens closed in. She felt the echo of every choice looming over her. Did she chase after Tom, or seek refuge in the night? The distance between desire and reality felt insurmountable, each choice heavy with consequence. "Claire, we have to move now," Delia urged, her voice sharp. "If they're here, we can't stick around." The urgency in her friend's tone pulled Claire into the present. She looked at the door Tom had just slipped through, temptation pulling at her to follow him into the unknown. "I can't just let him go," she shouted, panic swelling inside her. What if he's in danger? What's really going on? Delia's grip tightened on her shoulder, grounding her. "We can find him, but we need to be smart. Rushing after him isn't going to help anyone right now." The sirens blasted outside, drowning everything else out. Claire's instinct screamed that the time for hiding was over. She had to know the truth, whatever it might be. But could she risk everything to uncover it? She tore her gaze from the door and turned to Delia. "You're right. Let's get out of here. Maybe we can escape and find Tom later." They hurried to the back exit, the heavy thump of boots echoing closer. A grim reminder that their escape would not be easy. The world outside seemed to spill with chaos, flashing lights coloring the night as sirens wailed all around them. "Stay close to me," Delia said, her voice steady, though her eyes flicked nervously around them. They slipped away into the shadows, moving quickly down an alley that led to the street behind the building. Claire's mind spun with questions. What danger had Tom been trying to shield her from? What had he gotten himself wrapped up in? Each thought twisted a knife in her gut, making her second-guess every moment they had shared. As they reached a deserted street, she hesitated, turning to Delia. "If they're looking for him, wouldn't they also be looking for me?" Delia nodded, a frown creasing her brow. "We need to keep you safe, Claire. This is bigger than we thought. We need to think strategically. We can't go home, not yet." Claire's breath hitched. "So where do we go? What do we do?" Delia eyed her, her gaze determined. "There's a diner a few blocks away. It's always busy, so it might be a good place to lay low for a bit. We can figure out our next steps from there." "I don't want to abandon Tom," Claire said, biting her lip, fear wrestling with her desire to be with him. "We won't abandon him," Delia reassured her. "We'll find him. But first, we need a plan." With adrenaline pumping in her veins, Claire nodded, their goal becoming clearer, if only for a moment. The diner's fluorescent lights flickered like a beacon in the dark, but still, a shadow loomed over her heart. As they moved forward, Claire caught a glimpse of movement from the corner of her eye. There were figures emerging from the shadows, their faces barely illuminated by the street lamp. Were they friends or foes? The chill of uncertainty rippled through her, and dread filled her chest. She grabbed Delia's arm, drawing her back. "Do you see that? Someone's coming." Delia turned, squinting into the darkness. "Stay still," she whispered. Just then, Claire realized they were no longer alone. The night was closing in around them, and the danger felt palpable. Were they being watched? Were the people approaching friend or foe? Her heart raced again, and with a surge of energy she hadn't expected, Claire pulled Delia deeper into the shadows of the alley. "Let's go," she hissed. But as they moved further away, a voice echoed from behind them, chilling her to the core. "You can't hide forever, Claire." In that moment, understanding struck. The game had changed, and no matter where they ran, the truth was catching up to her. How far could she run before she had to face it? With the sirens still blaring and danger shadowing their every step, Claire felt the weight of uncertainty. What secrets was Tom hiding? And how would she uncover the truth without losing herself in the process? Claire felt the icy fingers of fear wrap around her throat as she and Delia scrambled through the shadows. Each hurried step was fueled by adrenaline, but uncertainty gnawed at her insides. They were lost in a world where danger lurked, and a nameless threat seemed to follow. "Do you think they know?" Claire whispered, her voice barely a breath. "I don't know," Delia replied, her brows knitted in concentration. "We just need to stay quiet and get to the diner." The distant sound of sirens faded into a heartbeat beneath the pounding of Claire's pulse, a constant reminder that trouble was everywhere. The flickering neon sign of the diner was now just a glimmer of promise in a darkened world. As they reached the diner's entrance, Delia paused, looking around warily. "I'll go in first," she said. "Keep your head down. Look casual." Claire nodded, her stomach churning with anticipation. The thought of Tom flitted through her mind, stirring a restlessness she couldn't shake. She felt as if she had abandoned him, leaving him to face whatever uncertainty awaited him all alone. The bell above the door jingled as Delia stepped inside. Claire followed, the warmth of the diner washing over her like a comforting embrace. It was bustling, filled with late-night diners and the familiar smell of coffee and greasy burgers. "Sit here," Delia instructed, slipping into a booth at the far corner, hidden from the view of the windows. Claire slid in across from her, feeling the tension seep into her shoulders. "Order something. We need to blend in," Delia said, scanning the room. Claire nodded, but her mind was elsewhere. What if Tom is in real trouble? What if they're out there looking for us? Delia reached across the table, squeezing Claire's hand. "He's smart. If he's in danger, he'll know how to handle himself. Our focus needs to be on you right now." As Claire fidgeted with the cracked leather menu, she couldn't shake the feeling that time was slipping away. Tom was out there alone, and perhaps the answers to all her questions directly involved him. What was he caught up in, and how deep did it all go? A waitress approached, her notepad ready. Claire ordered a coffee, her mind racing as she tried to piece together her jumbled thoughts. "Do you think we should call someone?" Delia asked after the waitress left. "Maybe someone who can help?" "I don't know who to trust," Claire admitted, her voice cracking. "What if they're involved?" Delia frowned, her hands twisting anxiously in her lap. "Then we figure it out. Together." As the coffee steamed between them, Claire's eyes wandered to the thick glass windows. Outside, the night felt alive, shadows dancing in the flickering streetlight. She shivered, suddenly feeling exposed. "You okay?" Delia asked gently, noticing her unease. "I just can't shake the feeling that we're being watched," Claire said, leaning closer to confide. "What if those figures outside were coming for us? Or worse, what if they already got to Tom?" "Take a breath," Delia urged, her expression softening. "We'll find him, Claire. We are stronger together. But we can't do anything if we panic." "I know," Claire sighed, trying to calm the storm inside her. With their coffee cups filled, they began to formulate a plan, outlines of action drawn in the thick tension of the air. Claire's heart clamored in her chest with uncertainty, but determination began to fill her veins. They would find Tom, and nothing would stop them. Just as their resolve began to solidify, a loud crash shattered the moment. The diner's door flew open, a cold wind gusting through, carrying with it an unmistakable energy. Claire's heart dropped as the chaos of the outside world spilled into the warmth of the diner. A hulking figure stood there, eyes flaring with intensity. The familiar, daunting silhouette of someone Claire had never wanted to see again cut through her thoughts. "Claire!" the figure called out, voice echoing with menace. "We need to talk." The weight of her every decision crashed down on her, the reality of her choices suddenly clear. Could this really be the moment everything changed? Could the hidden truths finally surface? With her breath caught in her throat, Claire faced the man who embodied her worst fears. What did he want? And could he hold the answers to the questions that had haunted her for so long? The diner's atmosphere went still, as if the laughter and chatter had been abruptly muted. Claire's heart raced, each thump reverberating in her chest as she locked eyes with the intruder. Michael. His name echoed in her mind like a warning bell. "Why are you here?" Claire's voice trembled, part anger, part fear. She hated that he could still instill such a reaction in her. "You know why?" he replied, stepping closer, the harsh neon light reflecting off his sharp features. The room felt smaller, the walls closing in. Delia shifted uneasily in her seat. "Claire, let's just leave," she urged under her breath. But Claire shook her head, the urge to confront this ghost of her past overwhelming her sense of self-preservation. "Last I checked, you had no business in my life, Michael," Claire said, trying to sound bravely defiant. "Especially not now." He smirked, folding his arms across his chest. "Is that so? You didn't think I wouldn't find you? You're digging too deep, Claire. You don't know what you're getting yourself into." The warning hung heavily in the air, and Claire felt shivers crawl down her spine. Her thoughts darted to Tom, his safety becoming all the more tethered to this encounter. "Get lost, Michael. You don't get to intimidate me anymore," she shot back, forcing all the courage she could muster into her voice. A chuckle escaped him, dark and low. "You think you're in control? You really have no idea, do you? This isn't about you. It's about what's at stake, and it involves your precious Tom." Claire's breath caught. "What did you do to him?" The accusation spilled from her lips before she could stop it. "Nothing yet. But I could. We both know you're tangled up in this." He stepped even closer, and she could practically feel the foreboding energy radiating from him. "Tell me, are you still pretending everything is fine between us? Or have you finally accepted the truth?" Before Claire could respond, a chorus of murmurs erupted around them. Patrons were beginning to notice the tension at the corner booth, their curious eyes casting furtive glances. "What do you want, Michael?" Delia said, her voice firm as she leaned confrontationally over the table. "I want you to understand that your friend is in a lot of danger. The kind of danger you don't just walk away from." "I can help you," he said, lowering his voice, the menace lurking just beneath the calm facade. "Help us? Is that what you call this?" Claire spat back, her heart hammering wildly. The very thought made her stomach turn. "I could never trust you again." "Trust? You don't have to. It's not about trust. It's about your survival." He paused, scanning the diner as if to draw some kind of audience, then looked back at Claire, eyes narrowing. "You need to choose, Claire. Either you let me help you, or you condemn Tom." A collective gasp rose from the few diners who overheard. Claire could feel their curious stares weighing on her, the clinking of silverware echoing the gravity of Michael's proposition. Shadows danced along the wall, twisting with the flickers of light. "Get out. Just get out of here," Claire forced herself to say, tears prickling in her eyelids. He raised an eyebrow, as if surprised by her refusal. "This isn't over," Michael said, his words laced with both promise and threat. He turned and strode out, the door swinging shut behind him with a definitive echo. The chaotic silence in the diner crashed down like a wave, and Claire felt the weight of realization. How closely was Tom involved in all this? Delia reached over, gripping Claire's hand. What was he talking about? What do we do now? Claire's mind raced, piecing together the fragmented puzzle of her reality. Was it possible that Tom, her only anchor in the storm, was entangled in something bigger than both of them? Suddenly, her phone buzzed violently on the table, a text flashing across the screen from an unknown number. "I know where Tom is. Meet me at the abandoned warehouse at midnight. Alone." Cold dread washed over her. What was she supposed to do? Could she really trust this message? "Delia," Claire gasped. "What if this is a trap?" But Claire's heart raced, excitement mingling with fear. The clock was ticking, and everything was about to change. Desperation clawed inside her, realizing it was not just about her anymore. The stakes were higher than anything she envisioned. What if this was the moment that could turn everything around? What choice could she make that might save Tom? As the night deepened outside, Claire knew she had to decide soon. Could she be brave enough to face the shadows waiting for her? The clock read 11:45. Claire's heart drummed wildly in her chest, fueled by the urgency of the decision lying ahead. She stood in the diner's bathroom, splashing cold water on her face to still the parts of her that felt frayed and wrecked. The flickering fluorescent lights above matched her chaotic thoughts. Time was running out, and even though the gravity of the moment felt paralyzing, one truth remained clear. She couldn't abandon Tom now. "You can't go alone." Delia's voice cut through the tension as Claire returned to the booth. "What if it's a trap?" "I have to. I can't let anything happen to him," Claire replied, determination igniting within her. "I have to see for myself. He's out there, and I have to find him." Delia looked at her with wild eyes, the weight of fear pressing against the hopes of their friendship. "You're putting yourself at risk. What if Michael or whoever that was comes after you?" Claire squeezed Delia's hand. "I know this is scary, but I can't let fear rule my life anymore. This is about Tom. I love him, and I need to find out the truth behind everything." Delia let out a shaky breath, the edges of her worry softening slightly. "Okay, if you're going, I'm coming with you. We'll face this together." Gratefulness swelled in Claire's chest. "You're my rock, Delia. I don't know what I'd do without you." With eyes set on the screen, Claire typed back a quick response to the unknown number. "I'll be there. Just tell me where to go." She hit send and took a deep breath, steeling her nerves for the confrontation ahead. "All right, we need to head out now," Claire said, gathering her things. The urgency was palpable, like a second heart beating in synchrony with her own. They slipped carefully out of the diner, the cold night air hitting Claire like a shockwave, a sobering reminder of the risks awaited. She could almost hear Tom calling her name, the urgency of their connection grounding her as they made their way through the shadowy streets towards the warehouse. As they approached the location, a crumbling structure echoing years of abandonment, a sense of foreboding wrapped around Claire's heart. The moonlight illuminated the broken windows, casting eerie shadows that seemed to stretch out and beckon her in. "This is it," Claire whispered, her voice trembling. Delia nodded, the gravity of the moment heavy in her expression. "We can do this. We're in it together." With one last glance to her loyal friend, Claire took a deep breath, pushed the heavy door open, and stepped inside. The air was musty, filled with dust and an unsettling silence. Claire felt every heartbeat resonate in the stillness as they moved inside. "Tom?" she called out, her voice echoing against the walls, her heart racing in anticipation. No answer. Just a sweeping darkness that felt alive around them. Suddenly, a light flickered on, illuminating the far corner of the warehouse. There, illuminated in the stark glow, stood Tom, his expression a mixture of relief and fear. "Claire!" he shouted, rushing toward her, and in that instant, everything felt right again. She tripped over her own feet, rushing into his arms as tears of joy filled her eyes. "Oh, Tom, I was so worried about you," she breathed, feeling the warmth of his embrace that reminded her of everything they had been through together. "I'm sorry. I had to get away. There are things I need to explain," he said, scanning the room nervously before focusing on her again. "But you shouldn't have come here. It's not safe." "Safe? You think I care about safety when you've been in danger?" Claire snapped, pulling back to look him in the eye. "I love you, and I'm not going to let you face this alone." Just then, a door creaked open further down the warehouse, drawing all eyes to the shadowy figure stepping into the light. Claire's heart sank as Michael reappeared, his posture self-assured, revealing that sinister smirk once more. "Look who decided to join the party," he said, the edges of his voice smooth like ice. "Tom, expect a family reunion." Tom's expression darkened. "Michael, this isn't your turf anymore. You don't scare me." Claire took a step closer, wanting to stand her ground beside Tom. "What do you want?" she demanded, feelings of anger and protectiveness mingling within her. Michael chuckled, seemingly unfazed. "I want you to understand the games you're playing." His eyes danced between them. "This isn't just about you two playing house. It's about money, power, and the darker side of things. You're all in this now." "What do you mean?" Claire asked, confusion bubbling into concern. "I mean, Tom's little decisions could get you both in deeper trouble than you know. He's borrowed from the wrong people, and trust me, they don't play nice," Michael said, his voice dripping with malice. "No." Tom grimaced, remembering the deals he had sought to keep their future secure, those promises that felt like shackles now. They promised, Michael interrupted, his voice slicing through the conversation like a sharp blade. "And now they want payment. It's time for the reckoning." The gravity of the situation crashed over Claire like a tidal wave. They were not only fighting for their love, but also for their very lives. "Enough!" Claire shouted, stepping forward, confronting both her past and the looming threat. "We're not letting you control this anymore, Michael. You don't decide our fate." She turned to Tom, determination sparking in her eyes. "Together, we'll figure this out no matter what it takes." As a collective tension cradled the air like a coiled serpent, Tom nodded, the protective instinct surging back into him. "You're right. No more hiding." And in that moment, Claire felt empowered, thrusting herself into the electric space between them. With fear behind them and resolve charging ahead, they faced the unknown together, a united front, ready to reclaim their lives and their love from the grasp of darkness. The clock struck midnight yet again, but this time it was not just a harbinger of a new year. It marked the beginning of a transformative journey, a fight against the shadows that hung over them. For Claire and Tom, light was shattering the darkness, and together they vowed to carve out their own path, one where love, trust, and truth would reign supreme. This was their story to write. The power of change surged in their veins. It was time to reclaim everything, and nothing would hold them back. Now's the moment to take action. You need to subscribe now to our channel to follow the journey and not miss any exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm because your support matters. Comment below your thoughts and reactions to this powerful ending. Your voice deserves to be heard. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this incredible transformation. Don't wait, not even one more second to share the empowerment. Together, let's uplift the power of our stories.